Do you feel like you're stuck? That's such a good word. I remember feeling this way, and let me explain. I felt stuck in a few things. One that I didn't know how to put into words, but I had like an aha moment about was I felt stuck in my story that I told myself every day, over and over again. And that's like my whole goal because I went through the process myself. I shifted my identity. I changed it. I changed my story because I'm no longer stuck. I'm no longer stuck in it and stuck telling myself the same thing over and over again that not me. I can't lose weight. I can't stick with the pro. Why am I getting emotional? Because I think I remember how hard it was for so many years of like, someone like me just doesn't change, right? I'm just going to keep getting lazier or bigger or snappier, which I hated how I felt, how I treated my family. I don't want to be stuck anymore. I'm not going to tell myself this is my story. I can be anything. It'll take a while. I might have to pay for help. I'm gonna have to show up and we slide up and down. Some days I do great, sometimes I don't, but I'm just moving forward. And that's how we change our story. And it's taken me years, but I did it. Hey, it's your coach, Jess Gunn, and the host of the Stronger You podcast, where we cut out all the noise and we get honest talking about what really matters to us. We'll chat about everything from how you feel about yourself to all things food and exercise, and also how to best navigate our sometimes crazy days as we focus on doing our best to create a strong mind and body so that we can feel, move, and look our best. I really hope you enjoy this episode. Do you feel like you're stuck? That's such a good word. I remember feeling this way. And let me explain. I felt stuck in a few things. One that I didn't know how to put into words, but I had like an aha moment about was I felt stuck in my story that I told myself every day, over and over again. And by that, I mean, I didn't like where I was, right? Like that's why we have our why moment, the impetus to get you to change. And it can be anything. It's something different for everybody. Sometimes it's, hey, I don't move the same way that I wanted to. I can't keep up with my kids. That's actually one of the things that got me. Well, I had a lot of things that got me in the right direction, but I was hiking on a girls trip with my mom and two sisters. And my two sisters have always been super athletic, played college ball. I didn't play anything. I have zero ability or coordination. I was always in the stands cheering them on. And so we were hiking and they start to walk faster. They're both just a little younger than me. And they turn around, not meaning to be rude, and said, Jess, like, you're not gonna be able to keep up. Just stay back with mom. And I was like, what? That was one of my rock bottoms. Cause nothing against my mom, but she's, 25, 30 years older than all of us. And I shouldn't be the same mobility and movement level of her. And I realized they're right, which made me even more mad. And so your movement might not be where you want it to be. Your mobility, I just didn't have the endurance. I got tired and winded and I couldn't keep up. And that was one of the things I was like, this has got to change. And it was more to prove my sisters wrong, which we joke about now. But it's your movement, right? Maybe it's you don't like how you feel. That was the biggest probably dial mover for myself because I had the recognition that, okay, I can't keep up with my sisters. I really can't move very much. I'm not where I want to be. I'm getting more winded and fatigued. And this is not going to be where I want to be in like 5-10 years, right? The direction I was heading. And then we have the emotional component that might be part of the reason to get you to start moving, right? And I was the cranky, tired, irritable, snappy, unhappy mom for like the last couple hours of every single day. I didn't start out that way at the beginning of the day, but by the end of the day, I was exhausted. I had 4 little kids. I was a stay-at-home mom. My husband traveled every single week for a couple of days and he was a great support and help, but it was still me. I did all the cooking and the cleaning. I didn't have any help. And talk about the multitasking, right? It's like, I'll never forget one night where I just lost it. And I'm in the kitchen and I was fixing spaghetti, this homemade spaghetti that my family loves. And I'm nursing. So my youngest is like literally on my boob nursing. And I'm stirring and making spaghetti, talking to somebody on the phone. And it had to have been something that was important. I remember who it was, or I wouldn't have taken the time to take a phone call, helping my younger kids on the bar stools doing homework. And then my husband walks in and it's like, what's for dinner? What's it? And I was just like, right? I couldn't handle it anymore. It was so many moving pieces and parts and I was exhausted. Now, don't get me wrong. I love my family. I'm very, very, very blessed. I was grateful for every one of those things. I didn't know how to take care of myself and fuel myself and take a breather, so that I could be the best version of me. And I was run out. like run to the ground. I didn't have anything left. And so I was snappy. And that's what it was, as I yelled at my daughter for like dropping her toothbrush in the sink. And her look on in her eyes of like, what I do this time is when I realized, oh my gosh, this is what they're going to remember, right? So we circle back to that. So my why moment is something has to change. I don't care about how skinny I am. I care about what my kids think of me and the example I'm setting. I have to change today. And I did, right? So we all have these moments. Like I said, it was mobility, and mobility was a piece of it that got me moving. Maybe that's your main thing. It could be the emotional one, like it was for me. I didn't like how I felt. And then in addition to that, I'd been putting on weight. In the last year of that time period, a little over a year, it was anywhere from 20 to 25 pounds. I would fluctuate, just body fat. And I remember putting on the red swimsuit that I share a lot of my before pictures. And it was like, oh my gosh, like I couldn't see the side of the swimsuit, you know, because it was like enveloped in what I had for my body type. I'm not saying it's a lot, and I'm 6 feet, so my weight is distributed over a lot of space. But that swimsuit it disappeared, right? Or you sit on the toilet and your legs, you feel like are growing further and further over the toilet seat. Again, we each have our own version of what adding body fat looks like. But to me, putting 25 pounds on was a lot. So I looked different. I didn't fit my clothing. I had to buy new pants. My swimsuits didn't fit. So you add each of those three components, how I felt, move, and looked, right? And I was stuck. I didn't know how to change any of those things. I didn't like how I felt or moved or looked, but what was I supposed to do about it? But it also was my story. So let's go back around, right? I have never been athletic. I had never really exercised. I had, walked with my friends at night. I tried the Firm VHS tapes for a little while at home with my 5-pound dumbbells. And I was proud of myself for doing that. I did a 6-week CrossFit that my neighbor dragged me to. And it was like, come for 6 weeks for free. And I thought, this is what's going to change my life. It was awful. Hated it. Threw up after a couple classes. It was awful. I didn't even finish the 6 weeks. I just was not that person. My story and identity was not someone that exercised. Definitely not an athlete, right? I grew up on the stands cheering my siblings on. And that's what I told myself. So that's what I believed. And that became my identity. I was stuck in that, right? I didn't like how my body moved or looked, but I'm not someone that knows how to get out of that. That's not me, right? Me is the daily habits that I have. Me is I didn't wake up early in the morning. If my kids came in before like 8 a.m., the house is on fire. Oh, I hated that. And they were older. They knew that they could wait till 8. I wasn't willing to get up earlier. I got in bed late. I barely moved. I just took care of kids and kind of had a good life, but I didn't prioritize health in any capacity because that wasn't me. My story was, other people exercise, other people go to the gym, other people get better. I don't know how to do that. I ate whatever I wanted. That was my story, right? I ate out. I had soda, all the things that I've mentioned, all the treats and the snacks that my kids ate, I ate. I'd never read a food label. I couldn't even tell you what a macro was. I'd heard the terms here or there, but I couldn't explain it to you. That was my story. It was a little bit of ignorance, right? And I'd always gotten by on being skinny. And I had 4 kids and hung on to that body fat. My body's like, you're not taking care of us. This is not what we need. The habits that you're doing, the lack of sleep, the sleeping in, the laziness, the lack of movement, the eating crud and sugar. And it was just the storm that did not manifest itself very well in my body. So then it's like, great. My identity is someone that's always been, yeah, Jess never exercises. Jess is always in the back with mom. Jess will finish the sugar. She'll have a piece of dessert. She'll have a couple pieces of dessert. And I had to realize this cannot be my identity anymore. So you have to have a honest discussion with yourself, right? And your story can be anything. Your story can be being thin, being overweight. You move too much, too little. It's amazing the things in our life that help us create the story of, I don't do that. I can't do that. I'm not someone that wakes up in the morning. I'm not someone that works out. I'm not someone that could lift weights. I'm not someone that could go to a gym. I'm not somebody that, I have to eat out. I have to have my soda today, right? I am someone that does these things. That's the story you tell yourself over and over again, because I did it forever. And so for me, when I told my friends, I remember it was January 1st, and I was like, I'm changing everything. I can't be the same person anymore. I don't like the version of me, neither do my kids, and frankly, neither does my husband. So I'm going to figure it out. So I read a book. It starts with food. That was like the Whole30 thought concept. And it taught me a little bit about the different types of food. And it just told you what to eliminate for a month. And I was like, okay, I could try the all or nothing. Like if I cut out all these things, let's see if I feel better. And oh my gosh, it was almost easy because there were so many things to cut out, but it's just a challenge. And it was just me not knowing where to start. And it was a book that somebody had given me, but it did teach me that, holy cow, when I was a food awareness of how much of certain foods I was eating, because then when it asks you to take out all the breads or take out all the sugars, right? And just eat good whole foods, meat, eggs, fruits, vegetables, healthy grains, right? I ate a lot of processed stuff. And so for those few weeks that I took it out, I lost inflammation and bloating. I started to feel a little bit better, especially because the sugar was cut down. And so then at the end of the 30 days, you're supposed to reintroduce some of those foods, dairy and whatnot, and see how your body responds. And it was just very eye-opening. Again, I just was learning, right? I was just exploring and understanding my body. I didn't care about losing the body fat number, how much, or a certain weight number. I wanted to understand, what had I done to get my body where it was? Like, how messed up internally was I? What was my gut health like from all the sugar I was eating? And I had to understand how my body worked. Right. And then the result of all of that would be a body fat loss to get me back where I felt like I wanted to be. Right. Because at that point, I never thought of gaining muscle. I didn't know, the story I told myself, am not someone who has muscle. I'm not that kind of girl. Never, ever, ever even entered my head that I would ever lift weights. It wasn't even like I could have. It's not my story. It's that girl's story. So I just thought, okay, great. I'll be happier if I lose this body fat. And so time goes by, and then I decided to cut out sugar totally. And I did that for 3 months because that was the number one habit that I felt like was the one that made the most sense. Because I knew that all those snacks and treats added up. So I thought, well, I don't know how to do with calories, or I don't know what fruits to add or what protein is, but I know that the crud I'm eating could probably be reduced. So within the 3 months that I didn't have any processed snacks, chips, soda, sugar, all the extras, which was, my gosh, like baptism by fire. It was terrible those first 3 weeks. But I did it. And I proved to myself, if I can do this, because I was very addicted to these sugars, that I can do anything. That was monumental. By the end of 3 months, that same daughter who dropped her toothbrush that I yelled at, you guys know this story, came up to me. I was at the fridge. You've heard this. She said, "You seem happy today." And I said, "Yeah, it's been a fine day." She said, "No, Mom." Every time this brings tears to my eyes. She said, "No, Mom, you don't yell at us anymore." I could have died right then. It was worth every second I had to fight the urge to pick up a cookie or the soda that I wanted. And you look at the pain point, right? Do I want to be the best version of me for my partner, for my children, at work, whoever you interact with? Do you want to be the best version of you for them? The healthiest version, the one that's going to stick around the longest? Or do you want to eat the foods that your body craves because you've developed an addiction and reliance to them? It's the dopamine hit, right? They're comfort foods. I get it. I did it for years. Which is a greater pain? You have to pick, and we can slowly move them together, right? You don't have to go cold turkey on something. I don't recommend that to everybody. That was just the best I knew at the time. So then I started implementing a smarter way and thought, okay, well, if I have 5 treats in a day that are all unhealthy and processed, let's just go to 4. And then after so many weeks, get good at 4 snacks. And then it's created a deficit, right? So now you're going to start to lose body fat. Then if you go down to 3 snacks and treats, right? You've eliminated another sugary processed snack. That's cut out some more calories, so you're going to lose some body fat. You're also going to lose some inflammation, so you're not eating as much sugar. You're going to feel better about yourself. So it can be small, subtle changes from 5 to 4 snacks to 3. It can be cutting it all out. It's your personality and what works best for you for a long-term sustainable amount. But you got to quit telling yourself the story of, I can't do that. That's reinforcing your story. Why can't you do that? Anybody can do it. Is it going to be easy? No, it sucked. I'm not going to lie or sugarcoat it. It was awful. The first 3 weeks were so hard. I go to events or girls, nights, and they'd be playing games or watching a movie or whatever, and I would see all the crud that we usually always bring. Everyone bring a treat, right? There's such delicious high sugar cookies and whatever it was. And I would pre-make and bring my little bag of, I don't know, celery and peanut butter and apple slices and peanut butter or carrots or whatever it was that I was choosing to eat. Nuts, I don't even remember. But I would come with my own little snacks and they would all make fun of me. "Oh, Jess, like, it's so cute." That's what they would say. "Oh, it's just so cute that you're on this little thing. Cute little Jess trying to be healthy. Cute little Jess trying to get off her sugar." None of them bought it. Nobody thought I would ever stick with this. So it's funny now when I run into people from, I'm not from where I am now in Utah, and I run into anyone that, I grew up with or through high school or through college, the first 15 years of raising children. And they're like, "So what do you do? Are you working? Are your kids out of the house?" I'm like, "I am. I'm actually a health and wellness coach, a fitness and nutrition coach. And I teach women how to get strong through lifting weights and building the shape that they want and the confidence. And I help them change their habits. They lose the body fat they want and they can look in the mirror and love themselves and do these hard things. And that's all I want. I just want women to be able to look in the mirror and see the definition of muscle lines because they know how hard they've worked to earn those instead of seeing body fat, right? I want you to first see what you've built instead of what you aren't. And that's like my whole goal because I went through the process myself. I shifted my identity. I changed it. I changed my story because I'm no longer stuck. I'm no longer stuck in it and stuck telling myself the same thing over and over again that not me. I can't lose weight. I can't stick with the pro. Why am I getting emotional? Because I think I remember how hard it was for so many years of like, someone like me just doesn't change, right? I'm just going to keep getting lazier or bigger or snappier, which I hated how I felt, how I treated my family. And I didn't think I could ever get out of the cycle because I tried the little things I thought. I did the cardio. I ate as little as possible. I did all those things and nothing ever worked. I never felt better or at peace. Ultimately, it was because I didn't love myself and I didn't know how to love myself. And we don't love ourselves by belittling everything and pointing out the weaknesses and eating as little as possible and hours of cardio and starving. That's not loving ourselves. Loving ourselves is figuring out what does my body need? How do I nourish it, right? Take time for yourself, meditate. Oh my gosh. So many different ways. Fuel yourself with things that make you feel better, less processed food and sweeteners and sugars and alcohol and caffeine and the quick fixes and foods that make you feel good that you enjoy making. And they can be the same things over and over again. And you can ease into that process. Walk, right? All the things that will reduce our stress, that we can take a minute for us and nourish your body, love your body, figure out how much of the calories, right, out of all these things you're going to be doing for yourself, how much of that do you need to consume to keep yourself where you want to be so you feel healthy. Have a treat every day, just not 5 treats like I used to do, right? So there's some balance in things, but it's just loving your body and nourishing it and wanting to take care of it instead of seeing it as the enemy. Because I did that for way too many years. And so when we can get unstuck, when we can decide, I don't want this story anymore. I don't want to be the story of the girl. Oh yeah, I see you at, the weekly get together or the yearly holiday party. Oh, you were skinny 2 months ago, but now you put some body fat back on, or those things. We go in the cycle and people comment and notice and we comment and notice. And I don't want you to feel that way anymore. I hated feeling like that. And I got out of it. And that's literally why I was determined to figure out how to coach, how to strength train, how to start a business, which I'd never done, run a business, now hire employees, figure out how to teach people. Like all of that was new and scary and overwhelming, but my mission of helping you get unstuck is more important than my fear of, am I going to fail or do I know what I'm doing and how stupid am I going to look? I don't care, because if I can get you unstuck sharing my own story, then I know that if I can do it, you can do it. So here's the thing though. I got to a point to where I had to decide, am I interested or committed? Because I was always just interested. I was interested in losing body fat and weight because I didn't like as it was, putting on. I was interested in, I know I probably should get up earlier. I probably should move more. I'm interested in exercising. I know I shouldn't eat as many cookies. I'm interested in all of it. But I was never committed, and there's a difference, and it's okay to be one or the other or in a transition. But you can't start something without acknowledging, where am I? Because my commitment level, my consistency, my effort that I'm going to put into it, and by that, I mean, are you paying for an actual program? Because if you're like, I'm just going to wing it, I'm just going to put some things together from Instagram or YouTube. I did that. VHS videos. I did it here, did it there. That is better than nothing. And I was so proud of myself. But that's not super sustainable. That's a little bit of interested, because I'm dabbling in getting to understand how to change the shape of my body, but I'm not fully committed yet. And that's okay, because I didn't have the stamina or the self-belief. My story was still shifting. My pain point, right? The pain point of, do I want the damn cookie, or do I want to feel better or look different? You can't have both, right? Now you can have a cookie, just not lots of cookies, and both. But you know what I'm saying? It's the pain point. So do you want to stay where you are, stuck, if you don't like how you feel, move, or look? Or do you want to feel, move, and look better and change yourself, right? And to do that, you have to be committed. Now that just means showing up the very best every day. But that means, instead of piecing together all kinds of workouts and no real accountability or structure or programming, pay for a $10 program, pay for a $50 program. Look at what your areas are that you struggle with. Maybe it's form, maybe it's accountability, maybe it's nutrition, right? Pay more for a program that will help you with that. Just like you pay for your kids. I mean, I paid for my daughter's softball hitting coach in like, what was it, 5th grade. She didn't need a hitting coach. I spent so much money on her to be able to master her softball hitting, and all the piano lessons, all the money we put into our kids. Put some money into you. You are worth it. Everything in your life will run better if you feel better. So you pay for people to help your kids, pay for someone to help you. It's a new thing, and I promise you it's the best money you'll ever spend. Buy the better supplements, buy the better food, right? Do the hard thing that you know will nourish your body. So as you go from that interested to committed, which there is no right or wrong. I wasn't even on an interested scope for so long. And then I dabbled in interested. And as I got a little more confidence, I just started with just the sugar, right? So I'm a little bit interested. I'm getting more interested. I'm getting more committed. And then I'm like, crap, this is working. I'm feeling better. I think I'll pay for a program now. And I started with a $20 online, no contact HIIT program that I hated. But it taught me to show up 3 times a week for 20 minutes. Well, it took me like an hour to get through, but it did eventually get to 20 minutes as I became more committed. And so that's actually a good example is when I started doing this, I finally was a little more committed and paid for a program because I realized I really don't know what I'm doing. And then I would watch it 2 hours of Grey's Anatomy. You guys know this story. 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes of HIIT work. So the point is to go quickly. But that was the best I could do and I was proud of myself. So when I, in time, went through it faster and then turned the TV off and just did it, I could get it done in 20 minutes, right? I went from being interested in dabbling and wanting to do better, which is all great, to being super committed and getting it done. Now, I saw results the whole time, but I saw much greater results when I actually committed to doing it. And then, because I was inconsistent when I was just interested, but committed, you show up. It does not mean you show up perfectly. It does not mean you show up and do everything great. It just means you show up. And so that means 10 minutes of a workout, 60 minutes of a workout, but you're committed because you did it. So it's a sliding process as your story changes, your identity changes, you change, right? You've got to be willing to say, I'm someone that now wakes up early instead of my identity is someone that is don't come in before 8 a.m. That was my identity. Everyone knew that about me. Well, now I'm someone, I was up at 5 a.m. this morning. I drove 40 minutes to a gym that I wanted to meet someone and I lifted for 2 hours. Never would have done that on planet Earth. Nobody 6 years ago would have ever bet money on the fact that I would be who I am today. But I changed my story. I got unstuck. I feel so much better. I'm happy. I never snap or yell at my kids. And they all say that you're a totally different mom. I asked my girls yesterday, actually, I said, I want you to come on my podcast and like talk about all this. And they're 13 and 16. And they said, Mom, we only remember you like this. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you don't remember the old me? Like that was me. And my oldest daughter, who's 21, is like, yeah, I remember. And so I had a good chat with her about, yeah, you're 2 different people. Like the little kids don't remember that because I've been doing this for 6 years now. But she remembers and can tell stories, but it's 2 different versions of mom. And that doesn't mean everybody's perfect. I'm not depressed at times, but I feel better, which makes me then get through all the other crap easier. So please prioritize your health. You'll get to a point where you go from any slight interest to committed, right? You show up just a little bit more. You will get to a point to where you have to mentally say, I don't want to be stuck anymore. I'm not going to tell myself this is my story. I can be anything. It'll take a while. I might have to pay for help. I'm gonna have to show up and we slide up and down. Some days I do great, sometimes I don't, but I'm just moving forward. And that's how we change our story. And it's taken me years, but I did it. And I can guarantee you that you guys can too. And that's what I'm here just to motivate you, inspire you, what word you want to use to show you that there's always hope. You're not stuck where you are. You're not stuck in the constantly dieting over and over. You just haven't found the right coach or the right plan yet. So that's why I have my program. I walk you through how to do all of these habit changes, but one at a time, focusing on that, not the results, but focusing on the goals every day, the mini wins, right? And in time, you're going to get to where you want to be. And life is always up and down. I'm not perfect. Some things I'm great at some days, and some things other days I'm better at other things, but it's constantly changing and you just do your best every day. But I'll never go back to where I was before, ever. And that's my mission, is helping you guys find whatever your healthiest, strongest version is, right? As you become unstuck and you decide, what do I want my new story to be? Because it can be anything and it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get there.